XDC continues to be extremely strong, even on this recent sell-off in the market. If we actually look at the 7-day view here, XDC did hit a high of almost like 10 cents. It actually was a little bit over 10 cents. And then we just dropped to about roughly 9 cents. It was a 1 cent drop on XDC during all of the chaos over the last couple of days. And this is what the 1 month looks like for XDC. We are still up 52+%. On the 1 year, we're still up 240+%, and we are now creating a massive bull flag on this chart. Now, I'm just using CMC here, but even if we look at TradingView on the daily view, let's actually go and look at the weekly. The weekly is a little bit more bullish, right? So on the weekly, we are starting to form a bull flag, very similar to what we were doing back here in December, right before we went crazy to the upside. And this full gain here from the bottom to the top was over 142%. Now, currently, the main thing to focus on here with XDC is getting over prior resistance. Ultimately, we want to get a big break over 10.5 cents almost. This will be a very big signal that we are going to retest this high from January. We're really kind of looking at weekly candle closes here, so the candle bodies are more important, so about like 12.5 cents. But if we do break to this 12.5 cent zone and we continue to break above this on the weekly, we could target that high liquidity wick, which is a 65% move from where we currently are. And if we think about that, if we can get a nice close, we start to form a floor, because it's not going to happen in just one go. We can start to have that move to the 2021 all-time high. And from our current level, this is still 103% of a push to the upside. And off of our recent lows, this would be over 250%. And off of some of the lows from back here in 2024, it's over 660+%. But XDC looks very good here on the weekly. If we're thinking about the daily, we still look very good. We are in a nice uptrend here. We do have, even on this previous low, a higher low scenario where we are now looking at a higher high, possibly being created on this chart. So far we've been respecting on the daily view. Sorry, let me go back to the moving tool. If we look at the daily view, we've just been respecting this 10 cent resistance level. If we could finally get a big break here on the chart, it would put us on that path to 12+ cents. So XDC, if you are an XDC holder, you should definitely be focused on the chart here because it is looking very good. There's no major bearish price action yet that we need to really kind of focus on, or any major signal or sign of weakness on this chart. So XDC looks very good here. And just as I have been mentioning over the last couple weeks, this is one of those altcoins that I think everyone should be focused on at this time, because there's not a lot of eyes on XDC. And it's at a time where we continue to see more and more marketing kicking up for XDC, even more recently on the 31st. This is after XDC got listed on Binance.us. I want to quickly interrupt the video just to let you guys know that now is the best time to lock in and jump into the free Discord. If you guys want to get even more exclusive access, you guys can join the premium section for $99.99 a month. And I know that that sounds extremely expensive, but you are not just getting access to my updates, you're also getting access to Tokenizer's updates, and a full team of individuals that are here to help you along the way throughout the cycle. There's a ton of updates in there, access to my portfolio, access to trade updates, chart updates, weekly market breakdowns, mid-weekly market breakdowns, and so much more. So what are you guys waiting for? Join up in the free Discord down below. And if you guys want to get access to those exclusive updates, you guys are more than welcome to join the premium section as well. So let's dive back on in to the video. We did get a big update from Binance US on X saying, here are some facts about XDC and the recently listed XDC token. And we do have the breakdown here. Now, they did just mention the big news, which was XinFin Capital, a Brazilian credit firm, recently announced plans to use XDC to tokenize nearly $1 billion in real world assets. And yeah, this is actually very bullish. I think that a lot of people are not focused on how big XDC is becoming in Brazil. If you guys do remember recently, we were focusing on Leaky because back in April, they announced that they were tokenizing $500 million on XDC. And we have yet to actually see that money hit the XDC network. They did say in July that would be happening. There hasn't been a big update regarding that, but still $1 billion in RWAs on XDC could be very big. And I do have that announcement here, which is big news from Brazil. XinFin plans to tokenize $1 billion in debt and receivables on the XDC network, bringing corporate debt, agribusiness, and credit products on chain. XDC continues to lead in RWA tokenization. Now, I'm going to talk about that here in a moment, but let's actually look into this announcement. This is over on CoinDesk. We have the deal underscores the growing role of Brazil as a tokenization hub in the region. And if we look at this, we have what to know. Brazilian securitization firm XinFin plans to tokenize up to $1 billion in debt and receivables on the XDC network, expanding the use of blockchain for structured finance. The deal aims to bring corporate debt, agribusiness receivables, and other financial products on chain over the next 30 months. Tokenized assets are projected to become a multi-trillion-dollar market, with traditional financial institutions increasingly exploring blockchain for operational efficiencies. And of course, this is a Brazilian, sorry, let me scroll down here. This is a Brazilian credit structuring and securitization firm. It's planning to tokenize up to $1 billion on the XDC network. And if we also scroll down, we do have the migration shifts versus existing securitization work, which includes clients like Cargill, Santander, and Raisin, towards digital issuance with a blockchain-based infrastructure designed to meet regulatory and audit requirements. Our goal is to transform traditional structured assets into digital assets with global liquidity. This is what the head of digital assets at VERT said in statement. We already have ready-to-issue structures, proven frameworks, and validated compliance. And we also have that, down here, it can potentially be a huge opportunity. Tokenized assets could grow to a multiple trillion-dollar market over the next few years, as projected by reports from Ripple, BCG, McKinsey, and others. Brazil has emerged as a key hub for asset tokenization in the region as well. Because again, if we think about XDC, there's a few big announcements on XDC that we have yet to actually really see hit, which one of them is Leaky. There's a few other ones as well. We're seeing talks about XRP and the XRPL. This is just a big move. And what's crazy about this is all of these numbers are growing around these networks that if you go over to rwa.xyz, for an example, you really wouldn't know that XDC is possibly having this much money tied to it, because there's only $24 million tied to XDC. If we're going off of the $500 million announcement from Leaky combined with this $1 billion announcement, I mean, thinking about that would easily skyrocket XDC on the listings here. And we're still waiting for that to happen. I talked about it even with Leaky, but we just have yet to see that hit the public network yet. But XDC still continues to be a focus of mine from the tokenization side. There's about 28 assets already on XDC. You guys can track them all down here. A few of these are up, some of them are down, but for the most part, I am very, very much so focused on XDC around tokenization. I think a lot of people are actually overlooking XDC when it comes to tokenization, but that's because they don't realize the partnerships or the announcements that XDC is actually tied to, or even the names. For example, we bring up Securitize. Securitize is one of the largest players in this space for tokenization. They are the big one behind BlackRock, for an example. They have $3.18 billion of total value tied to them, $1.82 billion worth of monthly transfer volume. And like I said, BlackRock's tied to Securitize, Apollo, VanEck. I mean, the list goes on and on here. And when we think about Securitize, a lot of people don't know that Securitize did have that partnership with XDC back in August of 2023. And if we actually look at this, we have TradeTech launches US Treasury bond token with Securitize. New USTY security will be tokenized by Securitize on the XDC network and available through TradeTech's YieldTech platform. And this is definitely a big one, considering the fact that when we think about how big Securitize actually is, they're giant. They're a giant player in the world of tokenization. So these are those types of connections that I keep bringing up with XDC, just to kind of give you guys an insight on how legitimate and how serious XDC actually is. And it's at a time where XDC, and let's go back to this list over here, market cap 1.53 billion, fully diluted value 3.59 billion. A lot of people will look at this value and say, well, that's actually pretty significant. But if you look at the top, 10, to get into the top 10, you need $26 billion. To get into the top 15, you need 10.9, almost $11 billion, and the top 20 alone is $8.5 billion. So XDC has a long way to go to actually breach those levels. And it's one of those projects that, in my opinion, is extremely overlooked. Not a lot of people are paying attention at a time where we see announcements like this one with Vert, or even the one with Leaky, or even the fact that going back to 2023, they have been working closely with Securitize, one of the largest tokenization infrastructures in this space. Now, on top of that, we also have this update from Tokenizer, which is voicing my opinion as well. We are watching as XDC breaks into mainstream markets in real time. XDC was listed on Binance US. The founder was on FinTech TV. The founder claims ETF filing is coming. 21 shares XDC ETP on Euronext. Vert Capital tokenizing $1 billion in RWAs. XDC was laughed at last cycle. And yeah, it was. It still continues to be overlooked even this cycle. This cycle, it's all about regulated utility and tokenization. In other words, the market has matured to fit XDC. And I think that with everything happening in this market, from the regulatory side, with all of the news happening in the US, with them embracing crypto, I really do think that these types of utility-based projects are going to continue to skyrocket in value and volume and growth in general. I think that the expansions happening on the XDC network in the last 8 months for just 2025 alone, XDC just continues to become one of those powerhouses in this space at a time where a lot of people just don't really look at it or focus on it because some of the announcements are pretty boring. Trade finance is not that exciting, and some of these use cases might not be as lucrative as others right now. And when I say right now, I mean, utility has kind of been overlooked and it's been undervalued for quite some time. The main thing that got all of the attention was hype and speculation. And these are the projects that I'm actually looking at that don't have that hype and speculation behind them, more legitimate based utility and more real world value tied to them, because these are the types of projects that will make us rich over time. And they are, very, very serious projects. Now, on top of that, in terms of XDC breaking into the mainstream and all of this great news happening around XDC, they do continue to make some noise even on socials, even though there's not a lot of marketing and hype. They do continue to, communicate with the community on what they're doing. They are holding a lot of spaces. They're holding a lot of events as well. They're at a lot of events. For an example, like this one, Open Access, building stablecoin liquidity on chain, recorded live after a panel alongside Ripple and other blockchain leaders at this year's TFDI Connect Dubai. XinFin USA shares his insights on building a stablecoin ecosystem that aligns with regulatory policies and global trade demands, the strategic use of assets like USDC, Tether, and even RLUSD to drive tokenized trade flows, and also expanding stablecoin access to support institutional and fintech adoption. And yeah, this is another big thing, right? We always hear about Ripple, we always hear about RLUSD, but XDC is working right alongside them. They actually want to integrate RLUSD into, the actual network and the ecosystem. But also they're, on a panel alongside Ripple. So if we're thinking about how big Ripple is, XDC is right alongside them here at this event. XDC is talking with the big players. They're, seen with the big players. The only difference here is that XDC is in the top 60 instead of the top 10 or even the top 20, which tells us that we actually have a big opportunity in front of us from an ROI point of view, which is why I keep telling you guys that XDC is going to be a big winner this cycle. You need to focus on what XDC is doing, what the team behind XDC is building, and what they are becoming as well. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on because I'm more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.